Well, good Lord. Whew. I'm not happy with what I did yesterday, so I'm gonna redo it. All right, so the last couple episodes, I've been doing the floors and did the brake system. Now, one of my things with doing this COE was having a flat floor inside of the truck. I really did not want any kind of big doghouse. All right, engine hoists and pavers don't mix. Because I'm building this truck to be at its stock original height or as close to it as possible, I do have a lot of room underneath the cab to place the engine. As you can see here, this is about 12 inches. And I was looking at placing the engine underneath, and I was gonna build inspection hatches into the floor. But that was kind of turning into a headache too, and as far as serviceability and whatnot, I decided not to go that route. Oh man, making a mess. Dagnabbit. All right, so the final plan that I decided on is I'm just gonna have a balance of having the engine partially underneath the cab and then slightly behind the cab. Now, I want you to envision something here. Stick with me here. This is my overall vision and plan. I'm gonna build a sleeper on the back of this truck, and I'm gonna kind of mimic the old Mercury style sleeper a little bit anyway. It won't look exactly like one, but it'll be that coffin style sleeper. What's gonna happen, it'll be roughly 24 to 30 inches deep. I don't want it very big. It's not gonna be for sleeping in, you know, it's just gonna be mainly for looks, to kind of give it that old school look, if you will. Okay, so once the sleeper is built on here, there's gonna be a door that goes from the top to the bottom of the sleeper. Now the sleeper, as far as accessing it inside of the cab, will just be slightly below where the top of the seat is gonna be. I don't want it to go all the way down to the bottom. It's just not necessary. Mainly the sleeper, again, it's gonna be for looks, but it's gonna be for if you wanna throw a bag back there, you wanna throw a dog back there, you wanna throw a cooler, lot lizard, whatever. Now from here down is gonna be wide open inside the sleeper. And when you open that door on the side of the sleeper, half of it is gonna be for what's inside the truck. The other half will be in the engine compartment, if you will. The sleeper is gonna go up and over it, and then I'll have access on both sides to go ahead and get in there and do whatever maintenance I need to do, spark plugs, that type of thing. Great, now I gotta pee. Well, good Lord. That's a lot of coolant. Yeah. Crusty. So a couple things about putting the engine underneath the cab here is I would have room to do it, but it would actually hang pretty low, and the oil pan, after all of my measurements and everything, the oil pan was only gonna be roughly 6 to 7 inches off the ground, which isn't the end of the world, but I really didn't want it that low because I don't want to see the oil pan from the side of the truck. I'd like to have the thing up as high as I can get it and tucked up underneath the truck. And then the other thing is a serviceability with the inspection hatches and trying to deal with all that. That could be a little bit of a headache. Now, the only way to really get away from having serviceability issues and accessing the engines with these cabovers, ideally the nice thing would be a tilt cab, and I did think about that. Some people had mentioned that. It's a ton of work. It's a ridiculous amount of work, and I'm just not really willing to do it on this thing. If you know who Dennis Taylor is, he's actually building a 54, I believe, GMC. Just look up Dennis Taylor, and he actually recently did a full video on his cabover build, and his whole cab actually tilts, and he's got the big block set underneath. It's a really high-end build though, and it's awesome. It's a bitchin' truck. Go check that thing out though for sure. So I think with the engine being back behind here and the sleeper going over the engine, if you will, and having access to the engine through the sleeper, I think that's the best compromise. It is for me anyway. Now, if I do place the front half of the engine underneath the cab here, you might be wondering, well, how are you going to get to all that stuff if you're not going to put inspection doors in? Well, for me, it's not a big deal. I'm going to put the cooling system and everything in the very front of the truck. So if I need to do a water pump, alternator, belt, whatever, I'll have full access to the front of the engine from underneath the truck. So the only real inconvenience is I'll have to get down underneath the truck, but I'll be able to sit on the ground and change the water pump out or what have you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Spin you around here. Okay. Whew. I'm already tired. This thing's wearing me out. Okay, there we go. That's better. All right, so as per usual with me, I really have no major plan for this just yet. I'm just gonna wing it. The big thing is I'm gonna have to cut this cross member out, knock all the rivets out, and move it out of the way. All right, finally got that cross member out of here. I tried to just knock it back here and slide it out of the way, but I need more space. I almost need to remove that one, but I don't want to. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Those rivets were really hard. They did not want to come off very easily. I am a little nervous about this engine hoist because it is bent. Ah, come on. Ah, good grief. Okay. I would almost rather go under the truck and lift the truck up and put it over the engine, but I don't know. I'll just go with it. You know what? Hold on a minute. Let me rethink this here. Okay, stay. I'm gonna change this position. Might take a little bit of weight off those front wheels. Let me see if I can move it a little bit anyway. There we go. Once I get it rolling in that direction, it's okay. Okay. All right, I need some leverage. Let me get a bar. All right, that's better. That engine hoist does not sound happy. Let me see if I can just get it up over here. There we go. A little higher. Okay, now I have to drop it and kind of swing it if I can here. Oh, that thing's loose. Shoot. I don't know if I got enough tilt on this thing. I probably don't. Ah, dang it. I don't really know what to do here. Let me kick it in a little more. Oops, I want to hit the cab. I don't have it angled enough. It's that or I knocked this other rear cross member out, which, God, I was trying to avoid that. Maybe. All right, I'm gonna try to set it down on the frame and reposition the chain. Nope, I don't like that at all. I gotta get in there. Okay, right there. All right, let's try that. Okay. Come on, baby. Oh, yeah. Woo. Doggy. Okay, there. Oh, man. Nope, watch the oil filter. Oh, I'm gonna punch a hole in that thing. Okay. Nice and easy. Whew. I think that was the hardest part. All right, well, that was a little bit of a fight, but we got her, basically. Now, that's kind of originally what I had in my head, that position right there. As far as the air cleaner goes, I'm gonna run one of those hats that goes to a cold air intake deal that'll just maybe come out the back or something like that. It is a little tight under here. If I had to do a thermostat or something, it would be maybe a little bit of a bear. Obviously, all this wiring won't be here. This cross member will have to be moved, or at least that drop bracket is gonna have to go. Now, if I do a sleeper off the back of this thing, 24 inches is back here. So really, I could bring the motor way back even. I have plenty of room. But that bracket is really close to the floor cross member up there. All right, I think what I'll do, I think I'm just gonna slide that engine back a little bit more, give myself a little breathing room up front. All right, I took that bracket out and I slid the engine back further. Just trying to think all this stuff through here in my head. And then right here where the accessory is, that bracket's a little high. Then I could just take this floor and just bump it up a little bit. That'll give me a little extra clearance up here in the front. Now, as far as under the truck goes, if I put the cooling system in the front, I've got plenty of room here to access everything. I just have to crawl under it. Like I said earlier, not a big deal. But if I bump that floor up, that's why I put this tube in the floor here, because I was thinking this might have to happen, because that bracket's up kind of high. And at least if I can bump that up a little bit higher, that'll let me maybe raise that engine up. I just don't want the spark plugs to end up in the middle of the channel here. And right where I'm at actually right now is pretty good. I can get the plugs out the way it is right now, but I actually wouldn't mind it up a little higher. All right, now the way it is right now, the engine's actually leaning to the passenger side a little bit, but you know, and it's not square either, but I can definitely at least get to the spark plugs and everything. Probably gonna end up having to replace that accessory drive as well, because the air conditioning bracket that this thing came with was an aftermarket deal and it sits way too high. The rear cross member is definitely gonna have to be unriveted and moved back. I was really kind of hoping I could get the engine a little further under, but you know what, it's not the end of the world. And again, with the sleeper on the back of this thing, it's gonna cover the engine completely anyway. So it's gonna be fine. Yeah, I just need to think about everything as much as I can here. I'm definitely a very visual person. I have to get it in position to kind of picture everything and see how it's gonna lay out. We're just gonna figure this out kind of as we go along, really. We're just gonna go with it and we'll make it work. That actually is pretty darn good. I got room for this bracket because I'm going to run these brackets at least for now. Obviously this fill tube and everything I don't need anymore. I'll just put a regular transmission dipstick in. All that stuff will just be regular truck stuff. I won't need any of that. I've got room to come up a little bit. All right, that's a couple more cranks there. All right, that I'm actually really happy with. And then the back of the sleeper will come down and cover all this. I can actually run the stock air cleaner now too with it shoved back a little bit. And drive shaft wise, even if I shorten the wheelbase on the truck, I've got plenty of room for a nice long drive shaft. So the only thing I'll have to figure out is the cooling system, as far as, I don't know if the stock or like a, you know, aftermarket mechanical water pump will push that far and cool. I think it will. I might need a helper pump of some sort. Any of you guys have any experience with that stuff? You know, I know like off-road desert guys and stuff like that, you know, have the radiator in the back. They put a pump on the radiator itself and then that pumps the water through. So I could look into that. We'll figure that stuff out later. I want to get a level across these valve covers, and I definitely want to throw this piece of crap away. I think that's a problem too. That's not how it goes. All right, well, that took a lot longer than I want to admit. All right, I got it set up here. Just got some jack stands. I got a bunch of shims over there just to get the motor leveled out. She's level, side to side. I just got this bar that's running across the valve cover. Yeah, that probably took me over an hour. I couldn't get it to stop swinging around on the engine hoist, you know, and stay in position where I wanted it. But all right, guys, welcome back. Well, welcome back for me, not welcome back for you. It's only been a second, but it's about a week later here since I worked on this thing last. I took the previous weekend off, as you guys may have seen from the video that I filmed up in Prescott, looking at those used COEs up there. But no, I am not buying another project, trust me. All right, so time to make some motor mounts for this thing. But first, I've been putting this off for a very long time, but I need a welding table. All right, so I went down to the steel yard and picked myself up a 4x8 sheet of 1/4-inch plate, and I got a whole stack of 2x2 tubing here. And then I've got some leftover 4x4, some nice rusty stuff here that I'm gonna use for the legs. So I'm gonna go ahead and make myself 2 tables. I'm gonna make one that is 5x4 and then a 3x4. after a night's sleep and I've done some thinking. I'm not happy with what I did yesterday, so I'm gonna redo it. Well, unfortunately, I lost all of the footage of building the first version of this crossmember that you see here. All I did was took some 1.5-inch tubing and some angle iron, and then I added some flat plate and then the square tubing to support the actual motor mounts themselves. I just wasn't happy how this looked at all. I just thought it looked kind of janky, so I decided to just start over again and redo it. The round tubing and everything I left, but I just decided to redo the pedestals. So that's what you're going to see moving forward. All right, I'm not going to redo the whole thing. I just don't like this. All right, I got the old pedestals cut off of this, and I just got to cut these off next. And I just went ahead and finish welded all the tubing. These old tabs that were in there, I'm just gonna leave them in there. So we always gotta leave a little mystery for somebody else in the future. Like, why did they do it like that? So, all right, this whole truck will be an exercise in why did he do it like that? All right, so the new plan here, I put some angle iron up there in the frame, and I'm gonna drill holes in there and bolt that to the frame up there. Then I'm gonna take some tubing, and then I'm gonna take this, notch it all out so it notches on the bottom, and then it notches up there into that corner into the angle iron. And then I'll just weld this whole thing right across this pedestal on both sides. And then there'll be one back here. Unfortunately, I don't have any smaller round tubing. I'd really like to do it at a round, but I don't have any. I have a bunch of 1-inch square, and you know what? It'll be just fine. It would look better with round, of course, but it is what it is. It's what I got. That's why you don't fully weld out all your stuff, you know, make sure you tack it together in case you come up with something different. I definitely like this much better. It's gonna look a lot cleaner. All right, so I don't know why I didn't think of this yesterday. I wish I did. I would have saved myself a little bit of time. That's just part of fabricating, I guess. You know, you just have to kind of go with it. All right, guys, here's where we're at. Just got a couple 1-bys welded in there. But now all that's really nice and triangulated. All right, so I am much happier with this result. It just looks better. It looks way cleaner. We got her all mocked up, tacked in place. I'm not proud of all my gaps, but it'll be fine. Gonna be good enough. That looks way better now than another crap I had going on before. Now, the only thing I don't know is I don't know if this cross member is gonna drop out of here completely and come out in one piece. I don't think it will, because now these are going to wedge itself in between this side and the passenger side here. It is what it is. I mean, it's not like I'd ever have to really take it out anyway. All right, guys, I'm ready to test this thing to see how it acts with weight on it. I'm just going to lift it just enough to get this stuff out of here. Okay. All right, let's see what happens here. Hopefully a whole lot of nothing. Okay, that's good. Where's my bolts? Let me make sure the bolts will go in. Good on that one. Good on that one. All right, all the weight's on that. I'm just gonna put a strap for the transmission, because I'd really like to get all of the weight under this thing. It's a lot of weight. Ooh, yeah, she's guitar string. I just want to leave a little gap there. Okay, good. All the weight is on the frame right now. All right, good deal. Looks like our gap's okay right there. Around the oil pan, everything looks great. I was just worried about the rubber compressing enough and closing this gap on the oil pan, but it doesn't look like it really moved at all. And the bolts are loose as they're supposed to be with all the weight on it, because it sits on these little tabs right here, the motor mounts do. So it's working as designed. It's leaning back too far, of course, right now. So that's actually going to gain me more clearance on the oil pan, because that strap is definitely flexing too much. That strap is barely hanging on there. All right, awesome. I'm so glad I redid that. It looks so much better. All right, let's see if this cross member will drop out of here. Nope. All right, well, I feared that it wouldn't come out. I mean, really, how often am I ever gonna have to take the thing out? Like, never. All right, guys, I got this thing all welded out, and I went ahead and put some redneck powder coat on it. And by that I mean spray paint while it was hot. At least that way it'll get something on it right now. All right, guys, well, there it is. Turned out pretty good. I am pretty darn happy with it. Now I want to get going on the transmission crossmember. I'm just happy to be out from underneath that truck finally. Oh. Now I gotta do my least favorite thing in the world, and that's knock all these rivets out. Glad that's over with. I hate knocking those rivets out. Let me figure out what I need to do here. I'm gonna put the stock cross member back in here, and maybe we can reuse it, maybe not, I don't know. Let's see here, I gotta play Jenga. If I didn't have this big drum on the back, I could get it up in there, but did this go on the bottom of the frame rail? I can't remember. No, it wouldn't have been that low. There, just like that. Okay, now, I should have cleaned this ground. Laying in a pile of metal. Okay, that's it right there. Okay, reset my angle. It's 2 degrees, 1.4. I think 2 degrees is enough. I mean, I could just make something to fill that gap, make up that distance, and then just bolt it up. So I actually got lucky here, and 2 of these holes actually line up with this original cross member. So I just jacked the transmission all the way up against the frame. I'm gonna go ahead and just drill out these holes. Now I've got some, what is this stuff? This is some leftover from an off-road project. This is 1 inch, and it's like quarter wall or half wall. This is heavy duty. I was using this for link bars for steering my off-road truck days. So let me, what I wanna do is just go ahead and make some spacers, but I'm hoping I have enough. So let me measure this out real quick, and then I'll figure that out. All right, it looks like I have just barely enough. All right, I had to do some major scrounging here for bolts and washers. I just don't know if they're long enough. They might not be, but let's find out. Ugh, nope. They're too short, but I'm gonna use them temporarily. Hot. This will at least let me mock it up. And actually, probably close out this video. This video is getting really long. So I would like to be done with this. All right, let's let the jack down. Ooh, as I suspected, it didn't move. All right, I think that's gonna work just fine. Those spacers are definitely heavy enough. And then I'll probably just figure out some kind of bracket down here to triangulate it later. But you get the gist of it, man. That's it. 2.2 degrees. So that looks good. That's a good angle. Now the oil will drain properly to the back of the engine. Gives the transmission just a little drop towards the drive line. All right, guys, there we go. She's mounted. Pretty happy with that. Turned out pretty good. Motor mount turned out really nice. This took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. Having to redo the engine mount definitely slowed me down. All right, I think next up for this thing will probably be the steering. I gotta order some parts and I gotta go over to the 57 frame and pull the original steering column out of the 57 because I'm gonna kind of chop that thing up and use bits and pieces of that to make it work on this one. I ruined the original shaft that was in this truck. It was so rusted trying to get the steering wheel off, I ruined it. So I can't use it. All right, guys, well, thanks for watching. Again, appreciate it. Appreciate the comments, appreciate the support. If you don't mind, like, share, and subscribe. It does help me out with this deal. And I'll just keep plugging away at this thing. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. See you next time.